What is going on, you guys? Petplatypus here, and it is time to talk about Dragon Ball Super, Episode 57. I've tried to record this video like 3 times now. First time my battery died, second time my memory card ran out. Hopefully third time's the charm, but it might work out to my benefit because I was very hyped coming off of this episode, and I wasn't like freaking out or nothing. I wasn't doing like King of Lightning shit or nothing like that, but I was talking very fast and kind of jumping from subject to subject, so hopefully, now that the hype has died a bit, it'll come back. It's gonna come back, but now that the hype has died a bit, hopefully I can form a better review. So, starting off with the technical aspects of this episode, art and animation. Actually, I'll save art and animation. Pacing in this episode, really tight pacing. It wasn't too fast, wasn't too slow, nothing really much to say, just a well-paced episode. Music, sound design, always on point, always good. Worked really well during the action scenes, made the scenes very intense, so that was great. So as far as story progression goes, it's mostly set up with past Zamasu. He learns about the Super Dragon Balls, he learns that Goku has God Ki, which frustrates him, and he's devising a plan, and he's obviously going to try and make a wish next week, so we see that the plan will obviously come to fruition, but, we'll have to see how that gets executed next week. But as far as this episode goes, it's set up for that. So a little bit of story progression there. Also, Goku losing the fight, Trunks losing his fight, and then having to go back to the past and run. There's story progression there as well. So, decent story progression. Pretty damn solid, actually. Especially with the Immortal Zamasu and the setup there, plus the past Zamasu going to try and make that wish. He's devising that plan and everything, and, he's very curious about the Dragon Balls. So, story progression, pretty solid. Pacing solid. Music and everything solid. Now back to the animation. Motherfucking Naotoshi Shida. Not just him, though. Not just him. I want to give credit to everyone on this episode because this episode looked phenomenal. It's the best animated episode of Dragon Ball Super, bar none. It's better animated than the Goku vs. Hit episode. It looks absolutely stunning. The choreography's great. The animation's fantastic. And when I say it looks stunning, I am talking in the context of Dragon Ball Super's extremely rushed schedule, the fact that it is a weekly anime and not a seasonal anime. But yeah, it looks stunning. It just looks great. The Naotoshi Shida stuff is the best part of the episode, but all the animators across the board worked their ass off to get this episode done. This group of animators did a fantastic job, especially with that schedule. I don't know how much time they had for this episode, but it must have been longer than your average episode because it looked really good. Just really great. Upon watching the fight a second time, because it was so awesome, I watched it twice. I did notice one animation error where it was kind of inconsistent. Like Trunks had his sword out back to back with Goku, and then there was a cut, and then it was in his sheath out of nowhere. Compared to how good this episode looks, that's like a drop in the bucket and not a big deal at all, but I thought it was worth pointing out. There were a couple of derpy shots of Goku Black. Not too derpy. He was mostly on model-ish. And they weren't like close-ups, but they weren't like far shots either, so that's worth mentioning as well. But overall, considering the schedule, considering Dragon Ball Super as a whole, and considering how good this episode looks all from like a general standpoint, again, drops in the bucket, not a big deal at all. The episode looks fantastic. So, with that being said, animation, easily the best part of this episode, easily the best in Dragon Ball Super, period. So, yeah, the episode looked fantastic. Let's move on to talking about the actual episode itself. The fight was great. The choreography was awesome. It was really cool seeing Trunks jump in there. He got a couple of good hits in on Goku Black. He caught him off guard, blocked his sword, which, blocking his sword, it's a little iffy because that thing stabbed through Vegeta. Even if Vegeta didn't see it coming, it's kind of like, I assumed that sword was like a, like a Kienzan thing, like the Destructo disc, where it could cut through anything. And then Trunks blocked it with his sword. And I realized Trunks using that sword, I'm pretty sure he channels his ki into it, because when he fought King Cold and everything, but was the King Cold fight extended in the anime? I forget. And either way, I'm pretty sure Trunks uses his ki in the sword, but regardless, I think blocking Goku Black was a little iffy, but catching him off guard, landing a couple hits, didn't really hurt him. That was cool. So the fight itself, really great. Vegeta coming in with that save. Yajirobe coming in with that save. That was great. Probably an unintentional callback to the early days, like when he cut off Vegeta's tail and everything. Just classic Yajirobe. It looked great. It was funny. It was awesome. It just, oh man, just This episode had everything you want from Dragon Ball. It really did. It had the art and animation and the fight choreography. It had the comedy with God Tube and shit. It had the story set up and the villain and everything. The Dragon Balls seem like they're going to be involved in this arc, which is good. At least the Super Dragon Balls. And it just, you kind of want to see the Dragon Balls in Dragon Ball, you know what I mean? And yeah, it was all around just a pure Dragon Ball episode. It was just absolutely phenomenal. I love this episode. 11 out of 10. Again, I am very hyped for this episode, but I think it's deserving of that rating. I don't remember if I gave the Super Kaioken Blue fucking episode. That's an interesting thing to call it. I don't know if I gave that episode an 11 out of 10. I feel like I docked it a bit for being a little slow in some spots, but nah, overall, this episode I think has it beat from a consistent animation standpoint, and yeah, both are like easily the two best episodes, but I would actually put this one above it from a technical standpoint, and it was just great, you know? I'm curious what they're going to do, because they can't just beat Zamasu in the past and have it change the future. That's not how the Dragon Ball timeline works. I know Toriyama said he was going to play with the timelines and stuff. I think that was just Mai being there. I don't think he's going to change it that much. I got over Mai. I accepted that Mai is there and it's inconsistent, but actually ending the arc by defeating the past Zamasu and saving the future that way, to me that's too big of a change. So hopefully the timeline consistency stays the same, where the different timelines don't affect each other if you alter things. Though it is still important to take out that Zamasu. I just hope it doesn't, butterfly affect the future, because that's inconsistent. But all around this episode, just, again, I hate to repeat myself, but just a fantastic episode, everything about it. But again, I am curious how they're going to beat him. I hope there's not another Super Saiyan form either. That would be, oh boy, like, I accept the ones we have now, but another one would honestly get redundant. So hopefully there isn't. I mean, if he does Super Saiyan Blue, but he goes Super Saiyan 2 or 3, okay, that's fine, because that's just a variation on Super Saiyan Blue. But if there's Super Saiyan Green, Super Saiyan White, I really hope they don't start pulling that stuff out. Where they're at, I think, is fine. Rose is kind of pushing it a bit, so yeah, I hope they stop with the Super Saiyan forms, but we'll just have to wait and see. That's the episode, though. I don't know what they're going to do to beat them, but that's good. It's good that I can't predict it, so yeah, really love this episode. What else happened? Trunks with the final flash, just, man, this episode had so many good moments. I'm probably going to watch the whole thing again, so yeah, you even had a little bit of an emotional moment when Trunks had to leave Mai behind in the past. Just so much Dragon Ball in this episode. Just everything you like about Dragon Ball was here, and I think that's why I'm giving it an 11 out of 10. It was just fantastic. Even little lines like Goku, and he's like, immortality, that's not fair. Even funny little lines like that, and Vegeta saving them, it's just a great episode. Just so good, so phenomenal. So, with all that being said, what did you guys think of this episode of Dragon Ball Super? You can tell me in the comments section below. You can also follow me on Instagram or add me on PSN. I'm petplatypus on both. You can also give this video a thumbs up and share it on social media. Both those would help me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't already, or if you like what you've seen here. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.